Ready?
Hello and welcome to Rhythm and Pixels, a video game music podcast. This is episode 17-10, and we're your hosts. My name is Rob Nichols.
And I'm Pernell.
There we go. And every week we get together and listen to great video game music of all consoles and all generations. And this is our first week back from Washington, D.C. with pixelated audio and the VG Embassy.
And we're learning such wacky things. Like I learned today that my microphone is actually powered by specters and spooks.
Yeah, phantom power is no joke. It's booze. It's just a bunch of booze. B-O-O-S.
I know, but I'm still laughing. Like, there's a bunch of booze involved.
Powered by booze. But now, all my levels are screwed up, so the opening of this episode's a little up and down. It's because I'm switching a lot of dials. So we were in Washington, D.C. at the Library of Congress, where Brian and Gene from the podcast Pixelated Audio talked about the history, a very brief history of video game music, which was, it was, for 30 minutes, they got a lot of information. It was really cool.
They included ease in the presentation, so I was content.
They talked about ease. They talked about gyrus. It was cool.
They really did get very clear, but they also were very concise with their info because they were given a short period of time to talk about what could easily be a multi-hour discussion.
Oh, absolutely. You can spend a whole day on it. But it's all because the Library of Congress has decided to start archiving games and game music. And so they commissioned a piece of music from Alex Wintory, who worked on the games Bastion and Journey. And it was okay. It's not my thing, but it was interesting. And we heard it a few times.
I was good with the music itself.
Yeah.
It was definitely
really?
the kind of music you would use for an emotional scene or a quiet atmosphere in a story-driven game. So not the sort of thing that a lot of gamers would listen to outside of their game.
Yes.
But it works within the context of a game, which in this situation, it kind of was not, because they claimed it was for a game, but it was actually this sort of slow-moving portrait.
Right. So it was designed to be interactive with... Check one. Here I am. It was designed to be interactive with a piece of artwork on the screen, but the interactivity wasn't really... I don't want to go on about it. Yeah, but it was the music was essentially modular, so that the musicians playing the piece didn't know what was coming next, and they could pick the different parts, and then the parts would be chosen for them depending on what the crowd did. It was pretty interesting, but in the end, it was fun. Was the Triforce Quartet?
Yeah, those guys are awesome.
So the string quartet playing, they played Zelda music, Final Fantasy boss music, just boss music. That was so cool.
Boss medley.
Yeah, I like that a lot. There was performance Pong as performance art.
We watched an old lady get her butt beat.
Oh my gosh, it was actually embarrassing.
No, she started to make a bit of a comeback towards the end, but that early load was like, oh, this is terrible. This is terrible. And then when it was all done, we watched the two combatants get up. It was like, oh, it all makes sense now. And yet she still was doing okay towards the end. She was trying to make up the difference, but it just wasn't enough.
Yeah. It was. So it made enough for us to be like, oh, it's an exciting Pong match, but in the end, it was just
one-sided.
Very much one-sided. So all this month, we're talking about our favorite games of a specific genre.
So before we get into that,
okay,
I wanted to bring up the game of the month.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the game of the month. How are you doing in this game of the month?
So I'm having thoughts about this game.
What's the game?
So how to talk about it without spoiling it. So the game that we're playing this month is The Messenger. For those in the know, you know what it is. But for those not in the know, it is one of the indie darlings of 2018. It's sort of think Ninja Gaiden with some tweaks. All right?
Yes.
Now, I'm playing it for the first time. And I've recently gotten past the weird thing that happens. And I gotta say, game is enjoyable. I'm enjoying the platforming.
How far past that kind of, we would say, when the game takes a turn? How far past that are you?
I am in the ruins.
Okay.
So, I'm getting into it. I'm getting to the point where things are going to happen.
You're past the cloud stage.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what I've come to realize, and this I realized because a lot of people out there who have played through the game in full. There's two schools for it. There's the school of this game was awesome, just awesome game, and that's all it'll tell you.
Yes.
And there's another school that says first half was good, second half kind of fell off.
Huh.
Now,
why would you think that is?
And this is where I think I have a guess because I'm experiencing it, but I'm compartmentalizing it to enjoy the game.
Okay, what is it?
So, this game, The Messenger, as we know, is meant to be kind of like an homage to like the games like Ninja Gaiden, but in its own style, its own tweaks. But at the same time, it emboldened, it basically gave you the impression that it was going to also be kind of like games, think like maybe not Metroid, but a game where you ultimately get upgrades as you progress through the game. Basically, new abilities that will allow you to do new, awesome things.
Essentially, the game goes from linear to Metroidvania.
Well, not even that.
A little bit.
That part wouldn't be an issue to me. I heard about that from the trailers.
So what's the issue, Pernell?
I'm getting to the issue.
I'm just rushing to the meat of the conversation.
The T-bone steak of this ordeal.
The hungry man frozen dinner of this podcast.
So this T-bone steaks issue, this delicious morsel, is that while the first half of the game is linear, the other half of that people don't talk about as much is that you get various upgrades as you go.
Yeah.
And while I'll admit a lot of the store stuff is kind of like, it's okay, it's the other things like the wingsuit and the rope dart. This is all within the first 2 hours, so it's not a big spoiler.
You get this stuff, yeah.
Yeah, you get these cool things. But then once the flip dually happens, there's not a whole lot left. The store is just generic, find all the goods upgrades, but nothing. That
kind of answers the question that I had going through the game. Was there's a list of upgrades and there's a tree of them, and I've gotten almost all of them, and then the game does that turn. And I know there's now I'm but probably about halfway through, maybe a little bit less. I'm probably going to get more cool stuff.
You won't. That's the hiccup. Another tree becomes available.
Okay,
but it's nothing substantial. Nothing that makes you feel like, oh, now I have this cool new ability. I'm going to put it to use.
So, but that's... I don't know if that's so much of a detriment, though, to the game.
Oh,
it would be?
Yeah. Yeah. So...
they're tantalizing you with more food, and you're like, oh, yeah, here comes the second course. We're going to go for it. And then you get started, and it's like, here's some more Hungry Man dinners.
Actually, I like yours better. I was going to say they tantalize you with you get one meal and you're like, okay, here's a T-bone, here's a ribeye, and here's just some expired cauliflower. I had to say it because I like cauliflower, but I don't like expired. Here's some expired cauliflower, which is basically it's on your plate.
It's smelly.
They served it to you. You don't want to be a jerk, so you eat it. And then you get to the second half, okay, maybe this second course is going to be awesome too. I'm looking forward to the second course. It's here's a bunch of mustard packets. You can put those on your steak if you have some left over.
Damn.
But
you're saying the second half of the Messenger is just mustard packets?
No. The upgrade and shopping component is a bunch of mustard packets. But with that said, the platforming itself remains solid.
Dude, the gameplay is super tight. You hit the button, it moves. The platform spacing and all of the enemies and all of the challenges it throws at you, it seems fair, but it's super challenging at the same time, and it's fun.
Yeah, and that's the stuff I like.
So you're focusing in on that.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, that and absolutely the music, too.
Yeah,
the music changes, too, which is awesome.
Because now, if you were to say take that and then compare it to, say, Ninja Gaiden, right?
Right.
Just flat out Ninja Gaiden.
Ninja Gaiden's okay, there's no upgrades except for whatever items you pick up along the way, and it's just go.
Yeah, and that's strangely why it works, I think, better, but I'm hoping that I come around to a different perspective about something completely clear. Here's why.
Well, I'm just going to say it's not fair to compare a game that was made in 1980-something to a game that was made last year.
It totally is in this perspective, because it's not knocking it. It's saying,
well, I'm not knocking anything.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Neither am I, in a sense. It's the thought of saying, well, when somebody makes a game that's meant to be an homage, even if they improve on it in their own way.
Right.
If someone makes a game that's an homage to another game, you're inevitably going to make a comparison, because that's just how it works.
Right.
So when you compare the two, you're like, okay, what makes Ninja Gaiden work? Ninja Gaiden is linear. like the first half of Messenger is. There's no upgrades, which would be a loss, but the game works in the sense that the variable play comes from the various weapons you'll find on stages. So you might say, okay, for this section, I'm going to use the windmill throwing star, but not this time. I'm going to use the invincible fire wheel instead.
I'll use the fire wheel up until this point, and then you accidentally pick up another item.
Yeah, and then you get that crappy light star that is just garbage.
It's like
why is it even in the game?
Playing Contra, and you get the spreader, and then you accidentally pick up another machine gun, and you're like, oh, no.
Exactly. And that's where the variability comes in. That's where you kind of feel enticed. I'm going to try again, but this time I'm going to do a little different. It's linear, but there's a little bit of variety. And when you think it's done, like just when you're getting tired of it, it's done.
Yeah.
So it's concise too. But with the Messenger, there are no pickups. It's just the upgrades at the store, and if you get an ability here and there. Mm-hmm. So you have this game that moves, and you're like, okay, this is solid. I'm getting my linearity going. This is fun. Then you hit a point where it's like, okay, now it opens up even more. It's a bigger game. So you got extra time you had to put in. Like, okay, that's cool, but where's the variability in the game? But what's going to entice me to want to do more? It's like there's no upgrades to find out aside from like generic wacky things.
Early game, the upgrades are like a goal. You're working towards that.
Yep, you get the upgrades that change the gameplay up, plus the linearity.
I think that sums it up nicely.
Oh yeah,
you start to miss that goal isn't there anymore, which was the goal for so long.
I can't wait to get the thing after that rope dart.
Okay, I love
coming.
I love the characters though, the bosses and everything. They all talk back, and they're all funny. They're so good.
I was just mining for rock. I don't want to spoil.
No, spoil it. But like the writing in this game is really clever,
and the shopkeeper is hilarious.
Oh, the shopkeeper's great. Talk to the shopkeeper every chance you get, because you see the shopkeeper a lot in this.
And I do need to say this one thing in case you're the type of gamer that doesn't do this. There will be a point where you go to the store, and it's just empty. I'm not going to tell you why or how. Check everything
I did that
as
too.
many times as you possibly can.
Oh, I think I missed something then.
I'm talking like 20 to 30 times.
Yeah, I did that. I did that early game just to see what would happen, and it was like, oh, okay, I guess there's nothing. I'll come back later.
It's specifically in the point where the shop's empty, though.
Oh, do it then.
Do it then. It was worth it.
All right, we'll talk after the. We'll talk during the music where people can't hear us. All right, so that's the game of the month, The Messenger. Check us out on Facebook.com/RhythmandPixels or the Rhythm and Pixels chat group, and we're talking about it there. Of course, I'm not talking about it. I'm just playing more Enter the Gungeon, but we're running out of time to talk about, because Purnell came to the house and I was still playing because of the last update. But this week we're talking about another one of our favorite games, or games within a genre. Mm-hmm. And so last week we did RPGs, which I was, I don't like.
You held your own a bit.
I did. I did enough. I played enough RPGs for the show.
Just enough.
Over my lifetime, I think I've played 6. But no, this week we're doing fighting games.
This is Rob's wheelhouse.
Yes, I've played a lot of fighting games. I have my favorites.
That isn't to say I'm no slouch. I'm no slouch.
No. And I briefly saw the games you picked from, and I'm excited to hear from those. I don't know those too well, because we kind of think we're excited by different things, especially when it comes to fighting games. We're into the different styles.
Oh yeah.
So my first track, since this is an even-numbered episode, I'm going to go all in and play from the game Capcom vs. SNK Millennium Fight 2000.
Ooh.
This is for the Sega Dreamcast, and I am playing the European and Japanese version, which has vocals in the track. This is the stage of Final Fight Needle from Satoshi Ise. Oh, that's good.
Really?
Oh my gosh. All right, this is the stage of Final Fight, also known as Needle, from the game Capcom vs. SNK Millennium Fight 2000 for the Sega Dreamcast, composed by Satoshi Ise.
This was a banger.
Pretty awesome,
here,
right?
man.
Oh, yeah. Most of my tracks this episode have vocals on them, and most of them are rap.
So you
know.
can imagine there's going to be some interesting stuff popping up. But we are a family-friendly podcast,
Yes.
so know that we are looking out for you, so don't worry about it.
No worry about it. Yeah, this is only in Japan and Europe. This was released with the lyrics because there is some cursing at the very end there, and it's isolated enough that I can just sort of rub it out.
Man, it was hilarious.
But I was like, oh, I could do this.
Gotta do it.
So yeah, like, all right. So when I first heard about Capcom versus SNK, Capcom, of course, the creators of Street Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
SNK, very popular, the creators of King of Fighters.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was talk. I mean, they've always had kind of a rivalry over the period.
Right, because people would go to the arcades and they say, which the better fighting series?
Yeah.
There was King of Fighters, there was Fatal Fury, there was Street Fighter, and it's Mortal Kombat, but
Yeah, that's whatever.
Yeah.
But from the Japanese companies, right? So Capcom is Tokyo, and SNK is I think they're in Osaka.
Okay.
So they're kind of like on opposite ends of the spectrum. And when it announced that they were going to do a collaboration game where it was going to be Capcom versus SNK, where it's SNK fighters within a Capcom game. And then there was going to be a SNK versus Capcom game where it was going to be like a King of Fighters game, but with like Street Fighter characters in it. So like the art style was going to be different, the gameplay was going to be different. I was super stoked. And I immediately went out and got the import for the Dreamcast, and I loved it, played it to death. It is one of my favorite fighting games of all time. And when I heard this, all the stages open with like kind of like a quick little animation, and then the music starts. Mm-hmm. In this stage, it looks like Road Blasters.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, the car crashes, the screen goes dark, and then it goes back up again, and it's a big back alley street with a car crashed into like a
wall,
like a wall. And so this is the final fight stage where Cody comes back. Because he's like he breaks out of jail or something.
Nice.
It's really cool. And then the rap lyrics kick in, and I'm like, yeah, this is awesome.
Now, I got to ask this question here. So, I know Capcom SNK was, like you just said yourself, it was a SNK characters moved to a Capcom game.
Yes.
Did the SNK versus Capcom end up being what was SVC Chaos?
I think so. I honestly, I'm not so sure about that one. I don't think I played that one. I think it was, though, because like Ryu and Chun-Li, they don't look like they normally do.
Yeah, and they had like a bunch of whack. I think Zero was in that one, or maybe it was SVC Chaos 2 if there was a sequel.
Yeah, maybe.
But I know Zero was in one of those.
I don't know what system that was released on, if it was just in the arcades. I never really got a chance to play it, because I played this one like a whole lot. Like, they even got down to the point where you can choose how you do your super moves, like how you charge up, where you can either be like a normal Street Fighter, where like as you fight, a bar gradually moves up, or you can be like in older SNK games where you have to hold down buttons and you like Dragon Ball charge up.
And for the record, I kind of want to see more stuff like this, because you think about
These crossover type things.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure Smash Brothers happened before this game did, but Smash Brothers, at least back then, wasn't really like a franchise crossover. It was like, here's some Nintendo characters beating each other up. But this was two companies whose franchises clash with each other outside of the game.
Oh yeah, this is the Marvel/DC Comics universe.
Yes!
It's like thrown together.
Which is something that I would also love to see happen. A Marvel versus DC fighting game or something, action game, where you can just pit the companies together with their characters and like, okay, who's the stronger character? The Joker or like, I don't know, Magneto. For the record, if it's not Magneto, something's wrong.
Oh, it's got to be Magneto.
Something's wrong.
You know it's Ian McKellen. All right, so I did a whole lot of research on this track, because this is there's a few tracks in this game that have a lot of sampling in it, and Satoshi Ise did a ton of sampling on this track. So first, I got to give a shout out to everyone I reached out to today about the rap vocals, because I did everything I could to find the vocals on this one. I found the acapella of this track, and working with Michael Bridgewater, working with Electric Boogaloo, and our friend Chris, can't find it out anywhere else. So we have, it's our opinion that the vocals on this track are just from like a sample CD.
But you gotta kind of love that we even have enough of a cool like social friend circle within this community that you could even just go, hey EB, I need some help with this. Can you help me with some legwork?
This all goes back. So Chris our friend Chris Smith. Chris Smith, I can say his name. He's, it's a pretty.
Someone's gonna look him up. It's like Chris Smith.
Anyway, so we went to high school together, and like we've been friends forever. But like we collect records together, and he listens to a lot of old school rap and picks out the samples and then finds the records for them. He's given me a lot of them, like for my birthday presents and stuff like that. And so he's really good at picking out samples. And he couldn't figure out where the vocals came from. But we did find a bunch of other stuff. So first we're going to start with, the opening sample I don't have on me, but I have the vinyl record. It's from an album called Do You Like Scratchin' by Malcolm McLaren and the world-famous Supreme Team. And it's really like, it's super 80s. It's not the best scratching.
So you're saying you actually found the samples that are in here?
Yes. So we're going to start with the drum sample. It's from T-La Rock and Jazzy J. It's yours. So this was the drums, and then we have then we have the bass sample from Rose Royce, and the track's called Yo Yo. Pretty rad, right?
I am digging this.
All right, and then we have some of the vocal samples. Oh yeah, no. Unfortunately, I don't have the vocal samples and some of the other sound effect samples in the background, but they're pretty. Like you can find them. Like a lot of it's one really common stuff, like Buffalo Gals. The opening of the track you heard right away. It was Run DMC. So yeah, that's where all that's from.
I'm just laughing when you're like, it's very common stuff like Buffalo Gals. I'm like, yeah, I've heard of them.
Common stuff as in like Public Enemy.
I know. I just took it in another direction.
Real classic stuff. But yeah, so I wanted to give like a little bit of a sneak peek into like the sampling behind this track. The bass line is really noticeable, which is really cool.
It's honestly is like really good because like fun fact about me is like while you won't catch me listening to rap typically like in my day to day, growing up I actually liked rap quite a bit. Though, as you well probably remember about me, I was never really good at remembering artists and tying them to their songs up until I was like an early adult. So I can't really place who wrote what songs I listened to back in the day. I just know that I still like the lyric, how lyrics would flow, and how like basically just how it comes together and how it sounds. When this went up and started playing, it clicked for me immediately. And of course, I was like, oh wait, it's Run DMC. I was like, yeah.
Every once in a while, things pop up, and you're like, in the back of your brain, you're like, I know that.
Really?
Really? All right, so yeah, that is from Capcom vs. SNK. I played that game to death. Loved it. On the Dreamcast, specifically. I never played this one in the arcade. So we're on to your first track. What you got?
This is a tough decision. But I think I'm going to have to go with this one because between the two, I had more of an affinity with one, but the other just genuinely sounds better. So I'm taking it.
Okay, let's go for it.
The track I'm going to pick is from the game Street Fighter Alpha 3.
Oh, nice.
And the track title is Decisive Bout. And it's composed by Takayuki Iwai. Welcome back. You're listening to Decisive Bout from the game Street Fighter Alpha 3, composed by Takayuki Iwai. So, this track is a banger.
Dude,
now,
it's cool, man. I like the guitar samples in it. Like it sounds really clean, like live guitar, but like it does all these kinds of crazy like little stutters and bends and stuff. It's really neat.
now see, there's much of the OST is has cool, clean sounds like that. There's a lot of variety in it, but it has a distinct sound that kind of permeates throughout the entire OST. But this one it was between this and one other track, which may end up showing up at the end of the episode. But
Another track from Alpha 3?
yeah.
Okay.
But this was the one I decided had to be on the show. So, for those who aren't aware, this is the theme for a character who goes by the name of Charlie in America, but I think it was Nash in Japan.
Charlie Nash.
Wait, his name was not Charlie Nash.
Yes, it was.
Oh, dear Lord.
Yes, it is. He's
terrible.
He's in Street Fighter V now.
Oh, so okay.
Yeah.
I remember hearing he's like a weird cyborg or a mutant or something in that game.
His character actually is connected to the song of my next character that I'm going to talk about. So
I love how this has become a cohesive story, because this is why
I wasn't going to play it, but the lore all fits together. But I'll lead into it. So what were you going to say?
So you might be wondering, so why in the world would Purnell bring up Street Fighter anything?
Yeah,
This isn't his wheelhouse. So the reason why, and why I honestly still look at it as being a favorite fighting game of mine, is that back when Street Fighter Alpha 3 first came out on console, my wheelhouse for fighting games was kind of light. I didn't have a lot in my pedigree. I tried to get into Mortal Kombat, tried to get into basic Street Fighter 2, and I just couldn't. And I wanted to be a part of the cool kids club, the guys who did play fighting games. But all I was able to enjoy was Rival Schools and Smash Brothers at that time. And I guess Evil Zone, but that's not a freaking fight game. Come on.
Evil Zone's cool though.
It's cool, but it ain't no fight. It's like a weird, wacky game.
Yeah.
So when this game came out, I felt compelled to give it a shot. And one of the major components of that was...
And when you say came out, you give it a shot on console?
On console.
Okay.
Is that it had... Aside from the ridiculous roster of characters, this game has a huge roster.
Enormous amount of characters.
I think this is probably still the largest a Street Fighter roster's ever been.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
But in addition to that, and the fact that it had the isms, which I think was AV and something else.
Right. So in the Alpha series, Alpha 1 and Alpha 2, this was Capcom's they want to make Street Fighter a little more anime style. And so in the first game they had a normal super bar that kind of powered up. In the second game,
that was the A-ism?
That was an A. And in the second game you can do EX moves, which was it's a
variable
combo, which means for a certain amount of time all of your buttons combo together. Kind of hard to use, but really devastating if you could.
But it was there's no downtime to your moves.
Exactly. There's no cooldown period to your attacks. And then in the 3, they said, okay, well, here's all of these. You can have one big super-powered move, you can have 3 levels of a super, or you can have the variable combo. And they called them isms.
Yeah. And I was all about the V-ism, because I like just going bonkers with a super combo.
Yeah. In competitive play, the V-ism is probably the most powerful one.
It's glorious, man. But in addition to those, the thing that really got my attention was that this game had a sort of RPG-ish mode to it.
Oh, I never played the console version. Tell me about that.
So it was a world tour mode. And the idea was that you would go around the world battling different opponents. Now, it wasn't you would go there and a cinema would occur or something like that. But it was you'd go to different locations and you'd battle other characters who had levels to them, like a level 5 Charlie or something.
Oh, cool.
And if you beat him, you'd get experience points to level your guy up, and then when you leveled your guy up, you could put experience into your different isms. And that determined how well you could perform with them. I can't remember the specifics.
You kind of power up your other super moves to make them stronger and stronger.
Yep, you powered up the fighting styles and just the character in general. And it was it spoke to me in my RPG-esque way.
Oh, yeah.
And I would boot this game up and I would play it. And when certain tracks came on, I would have a ball. This was a favorite of mine. The character you mentioned on the last pick, Cody. And that's probably what's going to end up on the end of the episode.
Yeah, Cody made his first appearance in the Alpha series. Actually, Alpha 3, I remember I was working at an arcade. We had Street Fighter 3, I think a Second Impact or something. And then the arcade techs came in and said, hey, we got a new game in. Can you help us, do this, that, or whatever, get everything plugged in? And I said, sure. I got up there and I was like, Alpha 3? I remember the Alpha series. I don't think they were making them anymore. And we turned it on, and there were every character I could think of was in this game.
It's 40 characters.
E Honda was in it. Blanca was in it. All these classic characters were back in the game.
Who was your favorite? Do you recall?
Karen.
Karen?
Karen. So Sakura.
Her theme is good, too.
So, yeah, Sakura's got a great theme also. But Sakura, who was in the Alpha series, who's kind of like the little girl who follows Ryu around, her nemesis is like the rich girl, you know.
I gotta say, there's
Karen, who's awesome. Like she had the best like counter move types like things in the game. Really
I think that's glorious. Out of 40 characters, your favorite character was Karen.
Karen, she's awesome.
Because out of 40 characters, my favorite character was Sakura.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
she
great.
She was a speed demon in that game. So clearly, we have rivals. We picked our favorite characters were rivals in that game.
Sakura was pretty cool. In all fairness, like she it wasn't like her moves were underpowered, but like it was just she played differently.
Yeah.
Yeah. You would
like Ryu's kick was like her hurricane kick, so you go up and you kind of just go across the screen a bit, whereas hers was just like lunge, like a kind of lunging roundhouse.
Yes. Yeah, and then in later games, those types of moves were exaggerated a little bit more, so that like those kinds of like those roundhouse moves that kind of like went forward could be used to combo into other moves and things like that. It's really cool. Alpha 3 is a really fun game. It's fast. It's much faster paced than some of the other Street Fighter games. There's a lot of characters. The music is really cool because it has all the music from the previous games plus new ones and arrangements.
Yes.
And it sounds really clean, especially like listening to it on its own. Like the original soundtracks released for this game sound awesome.
And funny thing about this also, unless I'm thinking about the wrong game, but I don't think I am. I also really like the intro quotes.
Yes. Yeah, this is that
one. Go for it, man!
Go for broke!
Go for broke!
Yeah.
Finishing strike or something like that.
Yeah,
Triumph
the announcer
die.
is really, really specific. Actually, I should have mentioned Capcom versus SNK, the second one, Capcom versus SNK Part 2, the announcer of that game is the voice in our opening theme song. They're ready? Yeah, that's... I forget the... I think it is actually Satoshi Issei. I think that's his voice. Which is pretty cool. All right, so... Charlie Nash, right?
Yeah.
So we know and Guile from Street Fighter 2.
And for the record, I used to call him Other Guile.
Other Guile. He's essentially Other Guile. So like they were like friends or whatever. I don't know. And the story of Street Fighter 2, Guile's looking for Charlie. Charlie went missing. In Alpha, because Alpha takes place before Street Fighter 2, he's still alive, and so he can play as Charlie. Okay. What happens is M. Bison kidnaps Charlie because he is trying to use his psycho power to create dolls.
Yeah, like Julie and Junie.
Yeah, so they're dolls. He's creating other, essentially other bodies that he can put his power into. So
Psycho Force.
He's looking for another body to go into. So my game is Street Fighter 4. That's the next game I'm going to choose from.
It's going to be Julie or Junie's theme, isn't it?
No, it's Abel.
Oh, wow.
So Abel was my main. It still is. If I play Street Fighter 4, I'm playing Abel. So when M. Bison was trying to find a new body to put himself into, a new body for M. Bison, he was going to pick Abel. Because Abel was like designed to be like he was essentially like genetically engineered to be M. Bison's new body. And then when he was going to put his soul into Abel, Charlie Nash jumped in the way.
Really?
Yeah, and absorbed everything, and then in air quotes died. And so
that's why he disappeared.
So Abel has no memory of his past, but is trained to be a badass. That's his story in Street Fighter 4, which he was originally going to be a vessel for M. Bison. Now in Street Fighter 5, Nash returns, but he looks like a zombie. It's because he like the psycho power destroyed his body or whatever. He looks really cool.
Whoa!
All right, so I'm gonna play from Street Fighter 4. This is the theme of Abel. This was on the PS3, the Xbox 360, and Steam, and it's composed by Hideki Fukusawa. This is the theme of Abel from the game Street Fighter 4. This was composed by Hideki Fukusawa. And yeah, like I said, Abel was my main in Street Fighter 4. So when 4 came out, like I have to talk about this. Street Fighter 4 changed everything. Because before Street Fighter 4, there were other fighting games out.
Oh yeah.
But it wasn't the boom like it was in the arcades. The arcades aren't around anymore. Internet play was just becoming a thing again with Xbox 360, but it was still in its early stages.
Mm-hmm.
So even like network play wasn't a big thing.
It was definitely boosting up though, because when Xbox Live kicked in, that's when more people started getting into online play.
Capcom essentially took a gamble with like, you know what, let's make another Street Fighter. So they brought it back, and it was only like maybe eight or 10. I think it was only 8 characters when it first came back out.
Yeah, it was a very light roster. I bought it too.
Yeah.
I bought it to play with you.
It came out on my birthday, and I was like, oh, I'm stoked about this. I can't wait to try Street Fighter again. And I fell in love with it. And I was like, I wanted to get really good with one of the new characters.
Should have been Crimson Viper.
No, it was Abel.
Should have been
Abel always. It should have been Crimson. Crimson Viper was pretty great, but yeah, Abel was one of the new characters introduced into the game. He's a grappler. He's kind of a mix between a grappler and like just a normal fighter, and really liked it. But like, there weren't a whole lot of fighting games up to this point, and then Street Fighter 4 got so popular, and then with network play became so popular that more and more tournaments started getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger around the country. And I would say it really took, like, maybe it happened at the same time that esports was rising at the same time. Mm-hmm. But I feel like because of Street Fighter 4, competitive fighting games is what it is today, and it's like really high level esports. There's money involved. It's all over the world.
I mean, it makes sense in a way because while I'm not as entrenched in the fighting scene as you are, so you can definitely catch me if I'm not catching something here. But Evo never stopped.
No,
it was just low key. Like it was like basking on the fumes of older games over and over.
Oh,
again.
right. Like before, E3. It was called the B series or the Battle series. It took place in Las Vegas once a year, and it was not that many people. Now it's like thousands of people over the course of an entire week. And
that's what I was leading into.
It's insane.
Like once 4 came out, it's almost like people were just waiting for a resurgence of old into the new.
Yes.
And once they had access, like, let's get down with this. Let's master a new game. Because there were like anime fighters that were popping up here and there, though I can't recall if Blaze Blue happened before Street Fighter 4 or not.
I don't think so.
I do know Guilty Gear was functioning. They were making Guilty Gear.
Yes.
But Guilty Gear at that time at least hadn't gotten it didn't boom.
Yeah, SNK was still making King of Fighters games, but it didn't really have that worldwide popularity and name recognition that Street Fighter does.
Yes, and then once that happened, it clicked.
Yeah. So one thing I should really say about the competitive world of Street Fighter is that it's not like, and this is with a lot of other esports too, but it's not like real sports where like there's a league and you have to form a team and then you have to and then you have to qualify to be before you can even go into like a place like Evolution, you know, and play against the best of the best. Like you don't have to qualify and you have to do this or that. There's no qualifiers. The whole like culture around competitive games, specifically competitive Street Fighter, is that anybody can walk in and compete. And that means that the best of the best have to start at the bottom like everybody else.
And even more so,
insane.
Not more so, but also cool is the fact that the best of the best can get taken down by a guy who just walked in off the street.
It rarely, but it does happen. It's amazing. And you're always like, you get to a point with these games where it's like, oh, I'm really, really good. Like, these good players, it's got to be luck. There's some kind of luck. There's something that they know that I don't, but it's got to be luck. And then every year they start at the bottom and they work their way up through pools, through the tournaments. They work their way through everything to get to the top every year. Like, they're good.
And then you get those cool matches where everybody in the crowd's like cheering for you.
Oh, it's exciting. And that's another thing that's great about fighting games compared to other esports games is that it's 2 people. It's just one-on-one, so you're not trying to keep track of a team. Even if you don't know the game itself, you don't have to know a bunch of crazy rules like StarCraft or League of Legends.
But you gotta be able to put those button combos.
Yeah, like the players do, sure, but as a spectator,
you just gotta be
you're
there
just
and
watching
watch.
two people beat the crap out of each other.
And it's glorious.
Yeah, it's fun. It's just fun. And like the crowd gets excited. And you may not know like all of like the little intricacies of like, oh, well, if he did it this way, he would have 4 frames to do blah, 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 blah. Or he could have done this combo but did this combo instead. It doesn't matter. You're just watching two guys just like fight it out.
And I'll say this, because like this is a perspective for me, because whereas you're familiar, I'm that other guy who's not. So I have gone to some like actual tournament scene battles.
Yes.
And I've been in the crowd during a good match.
It's
and the energy flows like it would at an actual like national sporting event. Or so like somebody will do like a crazy counterattack and people are like, oh my god!
Oh,
you're sitting there like, I don't know what's happening, but I'm energized. Yay!
It's so exciting. It's called the hype. People get hyped up. It's so much fun.
I enjoy it. Like I honestly, like I went to Winter Brawl, and honestly, I went back after that last time I went because
It's
like,
fun.
this is really entertaining.
Well, there's always like
this.
especially with like, because one, it usually doesn't cost much to enter. 2, you can enter because you don't need any special qualifications. You can just play. And there's always other like side things going on.
I did Magical Drop 3.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of competitive puzzle
kicked
games.
But by the way, just going to clarify that.
Of course you did.
Oh yeah.
Hang on 1 second. My dog is barking.
All my enemies gonna get rocked like the way I rock a party till the doors are locked. My fist flies up, make you hurt a bunch when I hit you in the face with the 1-inch punch.
And we're back.
So Elvis has clearly stopped barking.
Right.
Well, that is good. That is good.
Right. So yeah, puzzle games, like one-on-one puzzle games, they live right next to fighting games.
Yep. And I can tell you a surprising one that's big in the scene. Twinkle's Star Sprite.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's still big in like the sub-tournament scene. Like, while this is happening, let's play Twinkle Star Sprites for money. Would have never thought that.
Yeah, money matches are also a big thing. People putting real money on the line.
And honestly, that hit me well because I'm like, I'm actually okay still at Twinkle Star Sprites. I'd put $5 down on a Twinkle Star Sprites match to see how I do. It's pretty fun.
Yeah. Also, like, you end up playing differently when there's something on the line.
Oh yeah, like me personally, I mean, there will be shifts, don't get me wrong, but I think I typically would play more conservatively when I got to worry about money.
Oh, sure.
Though if I see the guy, hobbling, I'm going to go for broke and finish him off before he can recover.
Go for broke. But anyway, we've talked about this track enough, about the world of Street Fighter enough. What's your next track?
Well, I think after Street Fighter Alpha 3, my last ones are going to be more so typical Purnell stuff.
Okay.
So just prepare.
All right.
So this next track, and I'll get into the details about it afterwards, is from the game Arcana Heart 3. And the track title is Sutin Tower, composed by Motoharu Yoshihiro. Welcome back. You are listening to and hope you are enjoying Sutin Tower from the game Arcana Heart 3, composed by Motoharu Yoshihiro. And this track gives me so many vibes that would resemble Motoi Sakuraba that it's nuts. I love this track so much, and it's amazing because whenever I listen to the OST, there are specific tracks that usually draw me, but I didn't realize how much I would be drawn to this one specifically for this episode. Like, I had other tracks in mind. I was like, nope, screw those.
From other tracks from Arcana Heart?
Yeah, and I ended up gravitating towards this one, even though this was not one of my usuals. But it's so good.
Yeah, this is the Purnell track, man.
Oh, yeah.
So this game fits in what is now known as, or what's commonly known as, anime fighters, which means it's anime-styled characters, very cartoony-styled. Usually an all-female cast or mostly female cast, and really, really heavy on the combos.
Wait, what? That all-female thing? Is it a
maybe,
trope?
Maybe that's just Arcana Hearts and a few others, but heavy on combos, so lots and lots of buttons.
Yeah.
And usually a lot of air combos, so a lot of fighting in the air while jumping, and you can usually block in the air. Blocking in the air is a sure sign of an anime fighter.
Yep. And that's where I'm at. So, but think so why does Purnell, like, it's one thing to say Purnell likes anime fighters, but why this game? Fun thing, so this happened years ago. You might not even remember this anymore. We went to a game tournament that you wanted to enter for one of the Street Fighter games up in Pennsylvania.
Oh, yeah. I forget what that place was.
Classic Game Junkie.
Yeah, the Super Street Fighter had just come out. I played about 20 rounds against this one guy. Just lost every single one.
Now, when we went to this tournament, I learned a lot, though. Like, I was mainly gone, one, to hang out with you for a bit, and two, to see what this tournament thing was all about.
Yeah.
So I show up, and I get there, and there are a couple people playing on some consoles he set up around the store. And I stumbled across Arcana Heart 3, which at the time was still fairly new. Now, it was singing to me immediately. It was colorful. All the characters were women, which, as you know about me, when I play a fighter, I'm usually picking a woman. And it was very colorful and flashy. Stuff was going around. There was a girl it was a character. It was a woman who was swimming in like a jelly thing.
Yes.
And that was the character.
Yes, like a giant alien blob, like a boy in his blob. But,
yes.
But she's in a swimsuit swimming inside of it.
Yes.
Yeah, and she fights with the giant blob. Yeah, that's a cool thing.
And I was just enamored by the crazy characters that all these people were using. And I started asking questions like, what's happening here? What are you doing? And there's like a combo you can do where you can punch the guy and you launch him into the sky and you can do like a dash chase and beat him up in the sky. I'm like, I love this game. I was like, the only thing is missing is a character with rollerblades. And the guy goes, well, actually. And he goes to the character roster and picks a vampire girl with rollerblades. Like, well, I'm buying this game today. And I seriously bought the game immediately after I saw the rollerblade character. Yeah. Then took it home, and this is the very first game I attempted to stream record.
Oh, okay.
I tried to stream record myself practicing combos, which for me, that's the first time that ever happened. I never actually was like, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to repeat this combo over and over and over until I get it right.
Yeah, so with fighting games, like, you need to know everything. Like, to get really good, like, to be the best, you have to know everything about every character. But to get really,
decent.
For me to feel good about myself, I need to know everything about one character so that the moves and the combos and everything is just muscle memory. So that if I'm in a situation, I can just execute it without thinking about it.
And that's what I was trying to do with this rollerblading vampire.
That takes some time. The rollerblading vampire. Oh, so it wasn't the blob girl.
No, I was drawn. I liked all the characters. There's a lot of wacky characters in this game, but the thing that sold me was the rollerblader.
Is this her stage, the Sutin Tower?
I don't think the characters themselves have specific stages. It's just if they're there, they fight. But this stage isn't even the one that I usually choose, so that's why I don't even know who would be attributed to most. I'm usually there for Kamiari Shrine, which is my main, and there's like Koruyam Dam. And those two levels are like the ones where those are usually my hits for music. And then also the boss theme, which is bosses. Both of the bosses in this game are so broken, it's ridiculous.
Can you play as the bosses in the game too, or is it just like
one but not the other? There's this character that they added to Arcana Heart 3 Love Max. God, that's a terrible title.
Yeah.
But they added her. Her name is like Palais or Palas. And she's like absurdly broken. She's like equivalent to like Megalomania Eno that I mentioned from like Guilty Gear X2 eons ago, who like where like they gave her moves that just would not be fair to have her used by another player. So you cannot select.
Yeah,
her.
the boss in Street Fighter 3 has he has a remove called Resurrection. So I mean, you had to beat him normally, like out of 3 rounds.
Well, isn't it the guy who's half blue and half red?
Yeah, he's fire and ice. So you have to beat him out of 3 rounds. But then, like, in one of them, he's going to use Resurrection. So you have to beat him again after that. And then he's got, like, this crazy super move that's, like, a full screen. I don't think you can block it. You just have to be ready for it.
Speaking of
Crazy
final
stuff.
bosses and fighters, the character I just mentioned...
Gil. His name is Gil. Good old Gil.
Gil. He doesn't need any luck. He's just a jerk.
Yeah.
But, like, between the character I mentioned earlier, but then there was one other character, and both these are characters who I fought for, like, over 2 hours each. Trying to win because I'm going to beat this game, and it was the boss from Street Fighter 4, the guy who had that special move where he suck you into his stomach and then shoot you at the screen.
Yeah, that's the guy. That's the guy who Bison chose to be his body.
Oh, the new guy who was his body.
Seth.
Yeah, Seth is a jerk.
Okay, that's how deep this game run. Street Fighter and all these other games run. Seth was the boss from Street Fighter 4. Was named after an American player.
Really?
His name is Seth Killian, or S-Kill.
I heard of that guy.
Yeah, he was big in the competitive tournament scene for Street Fighter 3, and then went off to work for Capcom as kind of like a
community liaison.
Yeah.
So that's how I know him.
Yeah, American like community leader. And so he was named after that character, Seth.
I did not know that part.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
I did know about him because of the liaison thing, because he would come up in like Kotaku articles here and there back in the day.
Oh yeah, like if someone's going to talk about Street Fighter, it's usually him. I haven't seen him around much anymore. I hope everything's okay.
He probably just stepped back and started doing his own thing.
Yeah, games are really different now. But so I haven't played a lot of fighting games recently. I was getting into 5 when 5 came out, and I got a PlayStation 4 just to play it.
And honestly,
really
now it's all
a lot.
about Gungeon and board games.
Board games.
And DDO.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
DDR is eternal.
It is eternal. It will be in my life forever. So I'm going into my last track. Very, very different from this one. We're going smooth, sexy jams. This is the King of Fighters 98 Ultimate Match for the Sega Dreamcast. This one is composed by There's a lot of syllables here. Shinsekai Gakyoku Satsugiden and Hideki Asanaka, also known as Sha-V.
Guy sounds like the sequel to the greatest anime ever written.
I know, right? And this track is called Cool Jam, the Stormy Saxophone number 3, and is the theme of Iori Yagami and Kyo Kusanagi. Listening to Cool Jam, Stormy Saxophone number 3. The theme of Iori Yagami and Kyo Kusanagi from the game King of Fighters 98 Ultimate Match for the Sega Dreamcast, composed by Shinseki Gakyoku Zatsukuden and Hideki Asanaka, also known as Sha-V.
Now, do these characters have a particular relationship, or do you think it was just them saying, hey, we need to have 2 characters share a stage?
No, so these are like the classic like Nemesis game fighters in the game. So Kyo Kusanagi's like the good guy. He wears like the cool jacket,
and Iori's the one that
fire.
has like the rope that ties between his legs.
Yeah, Iori wears like the yeah, he has the rope between his legs, and he's got like kind of like the weird jacket that's kind of half. It's got like a moon on the back.
Which, for the record, and I know he fights with his legs a lot too. I don't know how that's even feasible.
Yeah, it's not. It's they're like weird like punk rock bondage pants. That's all that is. Yeah.
I had a friend back in the day. She used to cosplay as that character a lot, and I'm like, how are you walking around with that? Like, aren't you going to trip or something?
Yeah, there's some kind of like weird like magic power, and like he's got the evil version and Kyo has the good version. But for whatever reason, when those two fight together, it gets funky.
Oh yeah,
this is so.
Some
funky.
might say it becomes a bit of a cool jam.
It's a cool jam.
Yeah,
I love everything about this. I love the cheesy saxophone sample. I love that bass line. That slap bass is so good.
Yeah, weird track to fight to. Also, like it doesn't get me pumped to beat someone up. It makes me want to sit down and groove.
Yeah, the King of Fighters games, the earlier ones anyway, they're kind of all over the place. But most of the tracks are kind of funky and cool, jazzy. They're really cool. So this game came out. This was one of. I don't think it was a launch game, but it was one of the really, really early launch games of the Sega Dreamcast. Because that came out in 99, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the launch day.
And this is King of Fighters 98, which is kind of a combination of characters and stages from the past like 5 or 6 titles of the King of Fighters games, all thrown together, which is why it's called the Ultimate Match. And I wasn't really into it. I was just a Street Fighter player all the way through. But a friend of mine he's from Trinidad. He recently moved back, but he got me into it. He's like, you gotta play this thing. It's crazy. There's all these weird characters, and they're all like strange, like weird stereotypes of all these different countries, like worse than Street Fighter.
Because I remember certain characters, though I might be thinking about Fatal Fury. No, I am thinking about Fatal Fury, because that was the guy who had like, he was like the Krog Maga like dressed character, but he's almost probably was Fatal Fury now.
Well, he might be in the King of Fighters game. So
Robert. Was it Robert?
Rugal? No, yeah. I think his name is Robert something. Yeah, but I think he's in this one too. So King of Fighters has Fatal Fury, which is SNK. It has Art of Fighting, which is SNK, and I think a few others. Like
all are SNK.
Yeah, all the other characters. Asuka, who was from Psycho Force, which was like a weird platformer. The Akari Warriors.
Yeah, Ralph and
Robert.
And there was like a lady who was like a blonde lady too. Mm-hmm. It's weird that I know certain bits, but not the entirety.
Not the whole thing. You remember bits of this. But anyway, the SNK fighters, especially like in the King of Fighters, they're known for really, really good-looking sprite artwork. So it's all pixel art with just lots of frames of animation, really well done. Even like when other games were going 3D, like even Street Fighter was going 3D, SNK was still producing King of Fighters in 2-dimensional sprites, and it looked awesome. Nice. So this was my introduction into it.
And I will say, like, while I didn't play them, I would go to hang out in Pennsylvania. There's a group I would hang out with that would play like fighting games, like in a rotation bit, like it's like a regular thing they would do.
Yeah.
And even though I didn't play, it was surprisingly entertaining sometimes to watch these guys throw down with these characters in these games, because they would play Tekken Tag a lot.
Yeah,
and they would play these classic, SNK fighters, and it got interesting to watch. Though I was terrible at them, and I was like, "Hey, come on, guys, let's switch over to something else, like Money Idol Exchanger,
something I can
play, something I can be involved in."
Yeah, but the King of Fighters games is different from Street Fighter, so they're both 2-dimensional. On a 2D plane fighting games.
Very technical, though, I want to say.
Yeah, these are very technical. And King of Fighters, it's usually 3-on-3. Mm-hmm. So as soon as one guy, you lose a character, you have 2 more backup. So rather than going over the course of 3 rounds, you're playing 3 characters against their 3 characters. Not at the same time, but individually.
So I think I even had a trio. I would use Mai. Mm-hmm. There was a girl named, like, Was it Athena?
Oh, Athena. I said Asuka earlier. I meant Athena. Yeah, she's from another SNK
From Athena.
platform game. Was it called Athena?
It was called Athena.
Yeah, I think it was
they gave her like street clothes and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. I think it was called like Psycho Wars or Psycho Battles. I can't remember the name of it.
In America, it was just Athena, but they probably made like sequels from that. But Athena was like an old, originally arcade game, but it was on the NES at one point too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I'm almost positive it's the exact same Athena, though they tweaked her character design.
Yep, that was her.
And then there was another girl named like Yuri, I think it was.
Yeah, Yuri. Yes. Yeah. She was. I think she was one of the bad guys, like henchmen or something.
And she was like, cause basically, always picked women. And it was
there's a lot. Like the roster in this game is definitely like all over the place.
Oh yeah.
There's King, and she was like a TIE fighter, and she wore like a suit.
Yeah, she's like, I thought she was a bartender.
Like a bartender suit. She looked really cool. There was Blue Mary. Remember Blue Mary? She had like the blue hair. Go figure. There's a lot of cool characters in this game.
And honestly, in the franchises, even though you don't hear about them too much, I feel like there's like still talk of like them getting a revival. Heck, Samurai Showdown's getting a revival.
Yeah,
soon.
that's also SNK. The last King of Fighters that come out, they went to move to 3D, and people were really up in arms about how bad it looked, but it still played really good.
Sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah, it's called King of Fighters 12 or King of Fighters 13. I don't know what they're up to. They started numbering them.
King of Fighters numerology.
Or before it, numerology. Before it was just the year that it came out. I remember when 99 came out, a bunch of friends of mine, we all went to New York City to go to Chinatown Fair Arcade to play the new King of Fighters.
Those were the days,
man. Like that was what we were there for, to play King of Fighters.
Like, go to New York, go to Times Square. Of
course, at the time, I was also discovering DDR, and then my life changed. Didn't care anymore about anything else.
But hitting them arrows.
Yeah, it's like a drug addict, right? And then I discovered the DDR.
Hey, man, tell me where I can get more of them there arrows.
I was
a fix.
On the street asking for quarters. All right, so we're on to your final track. What you got?
Heavy or light?
Oh, that's... You know me. I like to go light, but...
Okay, well, there it is.
Whatever's in your heart.
They're both in my heart. I'm conflicted.
Oh, okay.
So, we're going to go from the game that Rob clearly knew I was going to pick as my last game.
You know it. I'm already typing it.
The game is called Guilty Gear X2.
X2, all right.
And the track title is called A Simple Life. And is composed by my boy, Daisuke Ishiwatari. Okay, so when I said light, I meant light for the options that were available.
You meant like it's major, definitely not minor.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not an evil sounding track. Like a lot of Guilty Gear music it's like heavy business.
I mentioned earlier to Rob, I was like, the other track I was going to pick was called Bloodstained Lineage. So compare that to A Simple Life, and there you go. It's like, but this was A Simple Life from the game Guilty Gear X2 or Cross 2. That's probably what it was supposed to be. I don't know.
I think it is X, because there was a Guilty Gear X.
Yeah. And I'm not sure what Cross would refer to anyway here. It's not, no one's crossing over. But it's composed by Daisuke Ishiwara, one of the kingpin guitar composers of the video game composition scene.
Yeah.
So, Guilty Gear, well, aside from how I was introduced to it, which was surprisingly like similar to the last game, whereas Rob and I were at a mall down in like Virginia. I don't remember why we were in there.
A mall in Virginia.
It was a mall. I think it was like Springfield Mall. If not there, the only other place I would have been is Waldorf, Maryland. Also a mall, though. And we were at GameStop.
Oh, we were visiting somebody.
Yeah, we were down there for a specific purpose.
Yes.
And while we were at the GameStop down there, someone put it on to me because it was like on the TV, and they were talking about, you might like this game. This game is like crazy. It's got weird characters, and they started explaining who they were. And once they brought up Milia Rage, who is a character who fights by manipulating her hair.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
I was so
This game's got some crazy characters. There's like a character who fights with a pool cue, and it has like pool balls like float in the air, and then you hit them and they attack the characters. It's crazy stuff. Just crazy stuff.
Amazing characters, and the OST is like the solid rock. And then like the character that this is based for is Bridget. Bridget is a weird character too.
Yeah.
So Bridget is a boy who was born into a village where, due to being born as a boy, they were going to either kill or sacrifice him. I can't remember which of the two it was. So when
I didn't know this.
Yeah. So what his parents did
These
was
games are weird, man.
They sent him off to a monastery.
Okay.
Disguised him as a girl and passed him off as a girl, and the nuns raised him as a woman.
Oh wow.
So it's a boy dressed as a girl who is a nun who fights with a set of yo-yos.
Oh, weird.
And a psychic teddy bear named Roger.
And a psychic teddy bear.
It is amazing.
Wow.
Bridget is a hysterically cool character, and I use Bridget all the time.
So Bridget ended up being your main in that game, or was it still Milia Rage?
Milia, I don't even really have a main. I like too many. It's Bridget, Milia Rage, Jam.
Yeah, she fought with a guitar, yeah?
No, that's Eno.
Oh.
But Eno's awesome, too. There's just so many great characters in this game.
So crazy.
Biken, who is a one-eyed, one-armed samurai.
Yeah, she's awesome. Her music, we played on the show, it's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Like that theme, the theme they created for that character is really cool. But what makes Guilty Gear, what sets it apart, first of all, is when it first came out on the PlayStation 1, was the high-resolution graphics. It was all hand-drawn, and the resolution was so much higher than anything on the PlayStation at the time. It looked like nothing else. And the load times, I mean, were also there too, but it was like incredible looking.
I like the speed of it all too. It's a very fast game.
It plays very fast, but there's also a mechanic in the game. I forget what it's called.
Roman cancels?
No,
or burst?
No, it's the one-shot death.
Oh, instant kills.
Instant has and the name's right there, instant kills, where they're really hard to pull off. It doesn't happen all the time.
You can only do it once for the entire match, and if you fail, your super meter falls apart.
And it's easy to miss, but you can end the entire, not just the match, but the entire game right then and there. And it's still like a mainstay of the series, as they're still making these games. And it's really interesting because it's like almost like a Hail Mary in that game. It's not even really a comeback mechanic. It's just like, suddenly you have it. Suddenly you got to use it.
And it's amazing
really
because
cool.
people who aren't in the know would say that sounds pretty cheap, but to pull it off well, you have to be on your game.
Yeah,
like they're not easy to land. And funny thing, Persona. At one point, Arc System Works made a Persona fighting game called Persona Ultimax Arena. They carried over the instant kill mechanic into that game too.
I didn't know that.
Every character has an instant kill move in that. I don't recall if it kills your super bar, but I'm pretty sure it does because they always make the penalty very harsh for if you miss.
Huh.
But like I adore this game. I still play it to this day. I bought Guilty Gear Zerd. It's a weird name.
Yeah, I know, right?
Zerd. But I bought that for the PS4, and I dabble with that, even though I'm horrible at it. But if they make another one, I'll probably jump on that too, because I'm just pleased by games like this. I like weird characters. I like awesome music in my fighters. So even though I'm doing a terrible job at playing them, I am thoroughly entertained as I proceed through my session.
Yeah, it's Guilty Gear. I mean, I feel like The Rock, because Daisuke Ishiwatari has been involved since the beginning, and I think they know that like that's what's holding it. That's what's going to keep the player's attention is the combination of everything.
Yeah, like it's almost like taking Yuzo Koshiro out of Streets of Rage. Like it just doesn't. It doesn't.
I mean, it's still a fun game. Still looks great. Still plays great.
But it's not the total package.
Not the same. All right, well, I'm going to turn the track down, and we're going to get into the part of the show that we call the bonus round.
Bonus round.
Bonus round.
That's it. You sounded kind of like Roger right there.
Oh, Roger from
Guilty Gear. He's like
framed Roger.
From Guilty Gear. The teddy bear. He has that a voice that's like go for it. Yeah.
Oh, weird.
I'm a deep voiced teddy bear.
Well, the bonus round is where we play covers and remixes and arrangements based on our theme. And mine it's from the game, but it was remixed later on. So this is from Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. It's the character select screen, Let's Get It On. And then it was...
Let's get it on.
Let's get it on. Not quite, but it was in the online edition that came out for the Xbox 360, and then it's been re-released in other places. It's originally composed by Hideki Okugawa with lyrics by Infinite, is the rapper's name. And then it was remixed, and then also I think they added additional lyrics again by the same artists, Hideki Okugawa and Infinite.
Select the one to fight with, get it on. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Pick and choose the right one, get it on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah. Select the one to fight with, get it on. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Yes, sir. Pick and choose the right one, get it on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's time for you to get into the character. You hit or lose or hit or win, I'm only asking you. Either you beat him or get beaten like an amateur. Either you drive or you get driven like a passenger. The fight's around the corner, so pick the one you want to. Represent your way, go head to head with your opponent. Feel it in the air, the tension is electric. The glory's imminent, this is something epic. It's for one of you, so what you gonna do? When your enemy is standing right in front of you, are you gonna lose, or are you gonna prove to everyone that never thought you win that you can rule? Cause everything is in your hands, you control it. And everything that is the past, it is over. This is now, this is everything that is. So you better make the right pick. Select the one to fight with, get it on. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Pick and choose the right one, get it on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Select the one to fight with, get it on. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Pick and choose the right one, get it on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Select the one to fight with, get it on. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Pick and choose the right one, get it on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Select the one to fight with, get it on. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Pick and choose the right one, get it on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Select the one to fight with, get it on. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Pick and choose the right one, get it on. 5, 4, 3, 2,
This is the character select screen, Let's Get It On remix. That's in Street Fighter 3 Third Strike Online Edition, composed by Hideki Okugawa with lyrics by Infinite. Also remixed by Hideki Okugawa and Infinite. Pretty awesome stuff.
Yeah, I like this. You had a very lyric-heavy episode with your stuff.
We've had people write in and say, hey, you guys don't do a lot of lyrics like a lot of tracks with lyrics in them. And
I find them just kind of rare in the scene as a whole. Like they usually come up as openers and closers to games.
yes.
And aside from that, they may be like special treats or like, because even when you think of fighters, like how many fighting games can you think of where vocalized tracks are regular tunes within the game, not openers or closers? Otherwise, you'd be like, Indestructible.
I love that song. That was almost my song. I love Indestructible.
It's a banger.
But no, I think around the time of Street Fighter 3, lyrics were making a huge appearance, and especially in fighting games. So remember, think of like Marvel Capcom 2.
Oh, that's true.
I take you for a ride.
Dig it.
So
dig it.
even if it's like little clips
Just imagine
here
us
and there.
Just imagine us doing it for the 20 minutes, and you're good.
Yeah, then you're fine. But yeah, Street Fighter 3 had a lot of rap tracks by Infinite. And then they were done over again with the online edition because everyone remembers the music and loved it so much. They said, we got to bring it back, but bring it back like
In POG form.
yeah, we got to like the original. You can play the game with the original music.
Mm-hmm.
It still exists, or you can play it with the remixed versions, and they're pretty good.
Also, for the record, I might be in the minority here, but I love when games get re-released and they go the extra mile to do remixes and like updates of the tracks. Now, don't get me wrong. I want the option to the old stuff in case the remixes suck, but just having that option there just feels good, and it makes me look forward to hearing what they did
Yes,
with my favorites. That in itself could
like
be an
that a
incentive to
lot.
buy a new re-release of a game.
they do that a lot with the King of Fighters games as they get re-released. There's lots of arrangements of all their tracks that are with new instrumentation and stuff. It's almost like Falcom Sound Team, like the E series. But no, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike is my favorite fighting game
Ever?
hands down.
Really?
Yeah, music, graphics, gameplay.
Had Ninja Girl.
There's nothing else. Yeah,
Ibuki.
I almost called her Shinopi, Shinopi or something.
Kinopio.
Kinopio, Ibukio. It's got so many crazy characters. The music it's so different, especially when it came out. It was different from everything else, especially with rap music in the opening and in the characters. The first thing you see when you see this game is you hear rap music in the attract music in the opening, and then even when you just start the game, there's more rap music during this character select screen. So it's just immediately telling you right away.
Some guy
This
at
game is
Capcom
different.
took a trip to New York and was like, I got to bring this back.
It definitely has a lot of club music and all of the tracks. There's a lot of drum and bass music and jungle music in a lot of the stages. And actually, I talk about that a lot on the VG Embassy coming up at the end of this month. So I'll talk about that then at length because I love it. Okay, so that's my last track. Pernell, what you got for the bonus round?
So, funny thing, and this is probably going to be coming up later. Well, I'll bring it up a bit, but I ended up picking a track from a game that I've wanted to pick from for a very long time. Just never got around to it because in my mind, it just never really fit our usual flow of the show.
Mm-hmm.
But this was a nice excuse to cheat the system and bust it out. What am I talking about? Well, that would be the game Super Smash Brothers.
All right.
My favorite party brawler. That's right, I said that. Party brawler.
It's fun at a party.
And it's a brawl.
And it can be taken at a competitive level.
Yeah.
Sure, but it's
Or you can ride a skateboard and carry a magic wand. Yeah, it's cool.
yeah, all sorts of stuff. You can have Pikachu fight, I don't know, Zelda. It's fine.
You can have Pikachu stare at a Maxim tomato and then make funny animations when you pause the game.
I love it.
So
Does he do it?
Actually, I don't know about the animations thing, but you can pause the game and get like weird poses. Like, look at him. Look at that. It's like a whole sub scene of the game.
I would just
Where
pause.
people will pause the game at weird scenarios and like tweak it to get the right angle and then take a snapshot. I'm like, look at this wacky setup they got going here. Look at these funny Smash games.
All right, we got to keep talking about this, but what's your track you're playing?
So this is a remix of the Super Mario Brothers 3 like Fortress theme, I think. I'll hear it again and then it'll click out of nowhere because right now it's eluding me. I want to say it's the airship theme or something, but we'll get to that. Anyway, the track's actual title in Smash Brothers Ultimate is the Fortress Boss New Remix from Super Mario Brothers 3. And it was arranged by Akihiro Honda.
And the original, of course, Koji Kondo.
The man. freaking God, man.
Yeah, that is.
It has so many. It's only like 2 tracks too. It's the mini boss battle music and the Winter Wonderland map theme.
It's got everything, man. It's got that. The violin is amazing. That flute solo.
Wind instruments.
A flute solo.
Yes.
It's so cool.
Like, I actually have friends.
Wow.
Friends. I have one friend who hates Smash Brothers with a passion.
That's me, right?
Well, okay, 2 friends.
No, I don't hate it. I just don't prefer to play it.
Now, here's the thing, like, and my thought is, even if you don't like Smash Brothers as a game, the music is worth your time for that alone.
Yeah,
like,
it's so much of it.
Like, I play way more games than I've got time for. Everyone knows this. Now, unfortunately, Smash Brothers is one of those games that fell by the wayside after it came out.
Yeah, well, it requires some dedication. A lot of fighting games just require that dedication to a single game.
Yeah, unfortunately, whether it be because you need to actually get the unlocks for the characters,
right,
or if you just need to outright master a character, time is required for this game, and I haven't put it in. But that I started playing it again after choosing this track. And honestly, I think we're going to have to do one sometime in the near future, like a Smash Brothers episode.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's going to be a very popular episode.
Oh, yeah. I have no idea how the bonus round itself will work. We'd have to do something weird for that because you really can't cover a game about covers. But, I don't know. We'll figure something out.
Yeah, we'll figure something out for sure. But no, great choice. I like all the turns this track takes.
And it just gets you pumped. Like,
yeah, that when it loops back around. Because the first time it kicks in, it's got that fast beat. I'm like, okay, this is fun. But then when it loops back around again, it feels like it's
right here.
Yeah, it almost feels like it's bigger. You know, like it almost feels like it's faster, even though it hasn't changed. It's just looped over. But it feels faster. That's cool.
Because imagine fighting to this. Like, as frantic as a Smash Brothers battle is, with this track in the background, you would feel it.
Right. So in Smash Brothers, you have up to 4 players, right?
Well, now up to like 8.
Right. 8 players.
It's absurd. Like, you don't even try to win.
So they're
at that
all
point.
technically on the same screen. The camera moves back and forth. So usually you have just 2 characters back and forth on a single plane, and there's a wall behind your character because the screen only goes so far. Where Smash Brothers goes back the whole way. In a 2D fighting game, there's usually over 3 rounds. A round will end, go to the next one. A round will end, go to the next one. The music doesn't usually change. This is just everyone goes all at the same time. People get knocked out over the course of whatever, but the matches don't stop and start again.
That's right.
So I feel like the music has to reflect that. The music's got to be one long montage, essentially, or like a medley of just awesomeness.
And honestly, it's very rare that they don't pull it off. I mean, there's something to be said about a game where across the series, they have created almost 900 tracks. And there's hardly a dud among them.
Yeah, they're all really great, and they're all different too. Like, they're all done in different styles and different genres, different instruments. Very cool.
And I adore it. And like, it makes me just, like I said, I want to play more. I just wish I were so bad at it. Favorite character from childhood, of course, was Kirby.
Who's your current favorite character in Smash Bros?
He's not really considered good, but Mega Man. Like, when they announced that Mega Man was in the game, I lost my Cheetos.
When I heard that Mega Man was going to be in a Capcom fighting game, that's
why I bought it.
Never good with him, but I love playing as him.
Yeah. And beating people with the Rush Drill Super was glorious.
Oh, it was the best. But anyway, so for more information on the bonus round part of the show, go to rhythmandpixels.com, and we'll have links to the Bandcamps and SoundClouds. And when we normally have remixers and cover bands on the show, you can download their music and support those artists. Thanks for joining us on Rhythm and Pixels, episode 17-10. We're listening to our favorite games this month, and this was fighting games.
This was enjoyable. Like, I had a feeling I could at least hold my own with how you are with fighting games, but this worked very well.
I realize I have a lot to say about this genre.
This is your zone, man.
The competitive scene, about how they're all played. Yeah, I have a lot to say about fighting games. I love them. I mean, as much as I go in and out of them, I think I just go into phases of like my interest level in certain things. And fighting games is definitely when I'm in it, I am like lost.
And there's something to be said about them. They carry multiple purposes, like similar to how music games were for a lot of people. I feel like even though you'll get the occasional douche canoe, you will ultimately end up in a scene where fighting games can bring a lot of people together.
Oh, socially, yeah, absolutely. There's the social aspect of fighting games. I mean, I think it's why it's so popular. The idea of the original idea of going into an arcade and then playing with a complete stranger competitively. Like they took a gamble when they released that. They didn't think people were going to be interested, but it created like a whole thing.
And it's like something to be said about when the match is over. He's like, "Hey, man, that thing you did with the inverted hurricane kick, that was amazing."
Well, I mean, like think about like arcade games, like back in the late '80s, early '90s. Like if you think about like Pac-Man, right? Even if it's 2-player, you're like, "Hey, you want to play 2-player?" Like you're taking turns, right?
Yeah.
Or like you're choosing to play with somebody you know already. With fighting games, someone's already playing. You just walk up and challenge them. I mean, there's
You push the button like new challenger appears.
yeah, exactly, and like suddenly it's on, and like if you win, you stay on the machine. Like, and that's a huge. That's how it is today. You know, it's pretty cool.
Anybody
I said
from this king?
I said how cool things are over and over again. I think it's great how it creates kind of a whole social aspect of the arcade scene that really wasn't there before, and it persists to this day, even online.
Would you call it a cool jam?
I think it's pretty cool, Purnell. Ooh, it's pretty cool. So we're ending on more Alpha 3, theme of Sakura.
This is a good one. Honestly, I like this better than the one I originally was thinking about, because this fits the ending a lot more than Stripes would have.
Yeah, she's got a few different themes, but I like this one a lot. And it sounds like kind of the end of the show, kind of music, yeah.
Very relaxed, chill, like, this isn't like a typical Sakura theme, I don't think. But I honestly maybe I like it more than her usual jingles.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It doesn't need that high energy schoolgirl beat. This sounds like more like a spring day.
Yeah, it does. It does sound like kind of like a spring day. I do like that. I think it's that little keyboard sound in the background. But anyway, before we go, are there any other fighting games in your top list that you really enjoyed?
Hard to say. Like I mentioned, Arcana Hearts. Rival School would definitely fit the plug, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. I put a lot of time into that.
I almost picked from this series, but I didn't find any music that I really wanted to showcase, at least not from the first one, which is what I think counts more as a fighting game, but Power Stone.
Yes, Power Stone fits in there.
Yeah, Power Stone 1.
I would say Power
Stone 2 kind of does, but it's more like, I guess it's like Smash Brothers. It's like Smash Brothers.
That's how I feel.
But when I think of, it's weird, like I'll consider Smash Brothers a party brawler, kind of fightery, but even though this other game is just Power Stone with more characters and wacky stages like Smash has, I still didn't want to think of that when I thought about favorite brawlers. I want to think specifically about Power Stone 1. I was zeroed in on that. And when I was listening to the music, because I don't remember much of the music from the game, I was like, I really don't want to showcase any of this. I'll choose something else.
Yeah, it's tough. We really wanted to play music from the games that we loved, and sometimes it's like, well, maybe the music was better in other places.
Yeah.
My top games I didn't choose from eventually was Soul Calibur.
Ooh, nice.
So a lot of hours in that game. Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Good pick.
I feel like I played that game until the game changed. The way people played the game.
Viper.
Changed a lot. Tekken 2 and Tekken Tag. Put a lot of time into those two games. And then also, remember that old Squaresoft fighting game, Air Guys?
Air Guys I liked a lot.
Now
Yoko, baby.
That was produced, or not produced, it was designed by the guy who did The World Ends With You and
was it?
7, yeah.
Tetsuya Nomura?
Yeah, Tetsuya Nomura, which is why it has a very dark, kind of different kind of feel to it.
I never knew that.
I just learned about that listening to the Retronauts podcast.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All I remember about Air Guys, aside from just like marketing and stuff, is that they were like, hey, we're going to shove these two Final Fantasy 7 characters in there while the iron is hot and see if we can get extra sales.
Well, it was in the arcade. They were
3 actually.
Yeah, they were unlockable characters from Final Fantasy 7. And then we're like, oh wow, that's really cool. But it was so popular, and then Final Fantasy 7 took off like so much that when they released it on the PlayStation at home, they said just throw everybody in there.
Gotta get them in there.
Every character, even Red 13, throw them in there.
And I'm not gonna lie. Wait, Red 13 was in it?
Yeah.
I don't remember that, but that's honestly why I bought Air Guy. So
yeah,
it did work.
It's a fun game, a very different kind of like. It controlled like a Power Stone, where it's not like on a 2D
360.
plane. It's all 360 movement.
But it was hard to get really good at least for me, because the moves were really, they weren't simple moves at all.
Yeah.
On a 360 plane. So like Yo-Yo Yoko had one move where it required her to do a 360 spin 2 times. And then like 2 buttons.
Oh, I was never good at those movements. Those were all like the Zangief, like spinning.
My whole thing
pile
with her was
driver.
I just do the walk the dog, where she just like dropped the
SPD.
yo-yo and drag it behind her and trip people. It was glorious.
Oh man.
But like, yeah, and honestly, an honorable mention fighting game that I used to like as a early adult, but didn't get to play with too many, was Slap Happy Rhythm Busters. This was a weird Japan only fighting game.
I gotta look that one up after the show. I've never heard of that one.
Slap Happy Rhythm Busters.
I love the name of that. That sounds like something that you would play.
My favorite character was 2 girls, and one of the girls stood on the shoulders of the other, and they had brass, like spiked knuckles.
That's amazing. I gotta look at that. That sounds crazy.
I found some weird games back when I was really diving into imports.
Yeah, I feel like the fighting games definitely hit a peak. There was like a Street Fighter 2 hit a big peak of like popularity with these games. Mortal Kombat, obviously, from I can't think of the name anymore. NetherRealm Studios, NRS. They've Mortal Kombat 1, Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat 3. Like they had its own popularity. I never really got into them. I liked them when I was younger because they were hyper violent. Now that I'm older, I'm like, they don't play like I want them to.
Yeah, like once the luster of the wow, there's blood went away, it was like, where's the fun? Where's the gameplay?
The last generation of it was so violent and actually kind of turned me off. And now they're making a new one, and it's turned up even further than that. And I can't even sit through the trailers.
You can rip out his spine and then play jump rope with it.
Yeah, like I don't know, man. There's something really innocent about playing like Doom on the old PC. Like I got a chainsaw, and like the blood is really just like these big red squares. And now it's like, oh, it's kind of gross.
But I gotta say, like, and this comes up a lot with me in just general discussion. Like, so there are 2 things that like to get exploited in games or views or plays: violence and sex.
Sure.
Now, I feel like good games are the ones where it's like they end up throwing it in there, but either A, you're not interested in those things, but the gameplay draws you so much that you're like, I'm just going to deal with it despite these things I don't want.
Yeah.
And then there's the other end of the spectrum where it's like the person will go out and buy it because they're in there, but then once the luster wears off, it'll be like before, like, hey, what's the game? Like, now I don't care about this stuff. What am I playing? Oh, this is stupid.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've gone 90 minutes into this show where we finally really should talk about how those 2 things are exploited over and over again by Capcom. And all these other games. I mean, like, as cartoony as some of these things are, it's violence.
Oh, yeah.
It is, fighting against other players. And as cartoony as this stuff is, Capcom doubled down on the sex appeal in Street Fighter V.
Really?
To the point where it's ridiculous, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, or the Dead or Alive series.
Oh, Dead or Alive is a weird one because
They were like-
it started as just being hysterical.
Oh, it was so funny. But
Who didn't turn the age up to 99 because it's just stupid. It was stupid.
It's so funny. They were like, okay, we made a really good 3D fighting system, and we made some weird physics for people's breasts. It's very strange, like the little niche they made for themselves. It's like if NetherRealm Studio wanted to make a niche for themselves with hyper violence, they wanted to go on the opposite end of that spectrum.
Yeah, and it's weird too because like as a Dead or Alive is a prime example of what I was saying, because they hypersexualized the game, but Dead or Alive was built on a core good fighter.
It did. It was all about reversals and counterattacks. Required like really good timing, and it was really neat. There's a new one coming out, and they're they're advertising it as toning back the sex appeal, which of course people are, oh, you take away this or that. Like, then play a different game.
Well, the hilarious thing is like, hey, if you really want it, they have a $100 season pass.
Oh yeah. It's all about the costumes and the players.
A $100.
Well, we can talk about fighting games all night long.
We probably could.
So let's finish up here. If you want to get in contact with us, tell us what your favorite fighting games are, or if you have suggestions for future episodes, send us an email.
rhythmandpixels@hotmail.com.
If you'd like a full track listing from all of our episodes and access to all of our episodes and access to all the other cool stuff we're doing, go to the website
rhythmandpixels.com. And if you're interested and unlocking all of our various voice tracks, new costumes, and special animations, you can always just pay for our $200. Holy crap, those guys just did that season pass.
Or if you're a real gamer, you listen to us on hard mode. No. You listen to the podcast on nightmare mode, which is it's just going to be on your iPhone.
Oh, Emily.
On your iPhone speaker while you're on the bus.
Oh, my God. That was probably the best aspect of that trip, by the way. It was just Emily's, heart. Like, we were talking about how I play Ease and how the difficulty I'm playing on this nightmare mode is the hardest difficulty in the game.
You do everything on nightmare mode.
Yeah.
So, what else do you do on nightmare mode?
What else would consider nightmare mode? Going to the grocery store on nightmare mode would be constantly being stalked through the grocery store by a serial killer. You have to get all your groceries and then pay for them before he catches you. Or, I want to come up with more things like that because it was just such a hilarious idea.
Yeah, I think we should just do a whole nightmare mode episode. That would be so funny. Or the whole
Write
episode.
it down.
I'm messing with you.
No, we're doing it.
You have the pen.
Nightmare mode episode.
All right. So if you want to check us out on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, look us up. It's Rhythm and Pixels, all one word. Check us out on YouTube. It's youtube.com/rhythmandpixels. That, again, it's all one word. All the episodes are getting released there, so you get audio-only episodes. And we also have a 24/7 radio station playing nothing but 8-bit and 16-bit classics. If you want to support the show, hit subscribe button and tell your friends. Yeah, all that stuff's good. You can also go to patreon.com/rhythmandpixels, and you can help us out there. There you'll have access to mixtapes of our episodes and access to a live-streamed episode every month. And we'd like to thank all of the patrons at the end of every episode. So I would like to thank that Nick Walker versus Alex the Messenger. So who won that one?
I don't even know. I can't even think of how that would work.
I'm going to say Alex won that one. Okay.
Well, he has a cool sword and a scroll.
All right. We have Steve Miller versus the Autistic Gamer. You got to give it to Steve, man, because
he's got a band.
He's got a bow staff
and a band.
He's got a band. All right. Now we have Cameron Werma versus Christopher Shenstrom.
I don't know, man. I mean, Cameron does a really mean worm.
He fights with his bass guitar.
Oh, Shenstrom rocks out.
Yeah. Damian Beckles versus Bobby Arson from the One Up Funk Band. Check him out on Instagram.
He's got funk done.
Oh, man, Bobby Arson.
Kill it.
Filling up the funk. Wicked Sephiroth versus OK Impala. Oof.
Well, Impala can get up to 120 miles an hour.
Sorry, buddy. OK Impala wins the match. Carlos Kung Fu Carlito from the Heroes 3 podcast versus Henrik Anderson of the Commodore 64 Camouflage podcast.
Well, one has actual martial arts background. The other is really good at avoiding him with his camouflage abilities. So let's just call this a draw.
Oh, it's a draw? But we got to have a winner.
There's no winner.
All right, they're both in.
Carlito can't find him.
Michael Bridgewater from the Forever Sound Version podcast versus Brian Pitt.
Love you guys, but the sound version, man, he's just... come on, it's a joyful, rock out.
Michael B in the place to be.
That's right.
Kung Fu skills. Morton Gangso versus Chris Murray.
Oh, Chris Murray rocks the champagne.
Oh, yeah.
He'll get you drunk and smiling.
Chris Murray gets Morton Gangso drunk and then wins. Jupiter Jazz versus Soulless Sanctuary.
Oh, that's a difficult one.
Yeah.
But I do know that, Soulless Sanctuary, she's a soul stealer. She uses arcane arts, so that's
but Jupiter Jazz is from space.
She has cosmic powers. That's a
Jupiter Jazz wins.
Ah!
There's no bad answers. We have Mix 6 Master versus Joe Vassallo.
He's the master of the mix. I think this is another case of they're going to ultimately going to be a draw because Mix 6 Master brings the magic.
All right.
There's going to be dancing and enjoying together.
All right. And then we have Chris Tienerson versus David Smith.
Well, David Smith is going to bombard him with variations of his name. So
yeah, David Smith wins. All right, real quick. Alex the Messenger versus... You know what? This can go on all night.
They really could.
We would
make a bracket?
I made a bracket. I'd like to thank the winners of the first bracket of our Patreon members. Alex the Messenger, Steve Miller, Cameron Werma, Bobby Arson, OK Impala, Henrik Anderson, Michael Bridgewater, Chris Murray, Jupiter Jazz, Mix 6 Master, Joe Steenerson, and David Smith. You move on to the next round.
Oh, my God.
I think I'll
type Joe Steenerson.
I totally did.
I was like looking, I was like, Joe Steenerson.
Joe Steers.
Your new name.
Oh, thank you all. Thank you all so much.
Oh, mercy.
Thank you all for the laughs, is what this is.
We have wonderful listeners.
So yeah, if you would like for us to make fun of your name, go to Rhythm and Pixels. Go to patreon.com/Rhythm and Pixels, and we'll do that there.
No, have fun with the name.
And this is the end of season 17.
Is it?
Yeah, next week is round 1 of World 18.
Hope it's not an ice level, because I ain't got time for that.
We will be looking at another genre of our favorite games within a new genre.
We're looking at, I think it's shmups,
Yeah, shmups.
but now I'm curious, should we consider platformers?
I would be open to that. So it's going to be platformers or shmups. Let us know in the chat.
Sounds good. It should be hard to pick from either of those. Honestly, I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm ready to go too. So anyway, thanks for listening to Rhythm and Pixels. My name is Rob Nichols.
And I'm Pernell.
Have a great week.
And remember, the internet is a great place to meet new people and talk shop about your favorite hobbies, activities, video games, blah, blah, blah. You know I'm going there,
I didn't think you were going to say the word shop.
Talk shop.
Get online and talk shop.
Shop. But while you're doing that, the most important thing is to not be a tool about it. I know it's hard to not do, especially in the world where people and everybody and their mom seems to want to be mean on the internet. But honestly, it just fosters a negative atmosphere. Somebody likes a game system, they like the system, and you don't have to like it too. But don't basically respond for the sole purpose of being like, what a loser! You don't like my favorite class. Whatever, you can disagree without being jerks. Be kind, be friendly to everybody on the internet, and honestly just foster a healthy video gaming hobby with friends and strangers alike. Because what's the point in not doing it?
I like that. Healthy video gaming habits.
Yeah.
Bye for now.
A nice bag of Doritos and a Mountain Dew 2 20 ounces of perfect companion.